Hello, and welcome to this live online concert presented by the National Arts Club. I'm Paul Schwendener, and on behalf of the Music Committee and the Board of Governors, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this event. For those of you who are not familiar with the club, we're a 501c3 nonprofit with a mission to stimulate, foster, and promote public interest in the arts. Annually, the club offers more than 150 free programs to the public, including exhibitions, theatrical and musical performances, and lectures and readings. For more information about the club and to learn about how you can become a member, please visit us at nationalartsclub.org or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This season, the National Arts Club is honored to be collaborating with the Sphinx organization to present a series of classical concerts featuring outstanding young Black and Latino musicians. The Sphinx organization is the national social justice organization dedicated to transforming lives through the power of diversity in the arts. Sphinx's 4 program areas, education, access, artist development, performing artists, and arts leadership, form a pipeline that develops and supports diversity and inclusion in classical music at every level. Learn more at sphinxmusic.org. The live stream concerts will take place from September through June on 2 Thursdays each month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please check the National Arts Club online schedule for details. Today, we are delighted to feature the Colombian-American cellist Christine Lamprea, who has been hailed in the musical press as a firebrand and celebrated for her supreme panache. Christine was the first prize winner of the 2013 Sphinx competition and has been a featured soloist with major orchestras worldwide. She has received many awards, including the National Foundation for Advancement in the Arts, and she has toured with the Sphinx virtuosi across the US in such venues as Carnegie Hall and the Kennedy Center. In keeping with the intimacy of a concert at home, Christine will be performing works for solo cello, beginning with selections from Suite No. 6 in D major by Johann Sebastian Bach, the Prelude, Allemande, and Gigue. The titles for Christine's complete program are listed in the chat sidebar on Zoom, and you can also submit questions for Christine via chat, and there will be a short Q&A after the performance. Now, I invite you to relax and enjoy the music. Over to you, Christine.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me, I have to plug in my headphones while I talk to you. It's so nice to be here. Thank you to National Arts Club and Sphinx for having me. I am in my apartment in New York City, as you might be able to tell from extraneous sounds coming from all over the place. I live right on Broadway, so you might hear the occasional car honk or something like that. So that was the sixth suite of Johann Sebastian Bach for solo cello. We'll be hearing another solo cello suite today, later on by Ernest Bloch. But just to give us a little bit of time to come back from that beautiful scenery that Bach gave us, I have a small piece by a Venezuelan flautist. His name is Omar Acosta, and I found this piece on YouTube. Actually, I was kind of doing some research on Latin American music. My background is my parents came from Colombia, and I was born here, so I am a Latina, and I've been kind of searching for ways how to incorporate that into my programming. So I came across this performance by Omar Acosta of his own piece that he wrote called Solo de Pajarillo. Pajarillo is a Venezuelan kind of dance form, a very typical dance. And one would think, oh, well, it doesn't quite make sense to arrange something for flute for two cello. But I don't do a lot of things that make sense. So I actually loved the piece so much, and I just thought it had such a great energy to it, and it has a lot of elements of rhythm built into it that I think are really interesting. I guess it's not over. I secretly do want to be a percussionist for a Latin band one day. But so cello takes enough time to practice, so this is kind of my one little avenue to getting closer to that direction. The arrangement is pretty fresh, so I have to move my music here. But I hope you enjoy it. This arrangement hasn't been heard for cello very much. I played it once in Texas a couple of years ago, and since I've continued editing this version, so this will be a premiere of sorts, a National Arts Arts Club premiere of this second version of my arrangement of this Solo de Pajarillo. I hope you enjoy. All right, that's a fun piece to play. Oops. Excuse my technological mishaps. So that was the Pajarillo, Solo de Pajarillo by Omar Acosta. He's still living, very vibrant career. Feel free to look him up. There's some great performances online of his. So this last piece I'll be playing is a solo cello suite by Ernest Bloch, very much modeled off of the Bach suites, but in kind of a newer idiom. They were originally written for the grande dame of cello playing of the 20th century. Her name was Zara Nelsova. So I always think that's kind of great because we need more women cellist role models. So I like that it was written for her. It's really beautiful, romantic style suite in kind of a Jewish scale idiom. So you'll hear a lot of that. I thought it would be appropriate today to play it and dedicate it to the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She will be very much missed, and I hope that I think this piece will pay homage nicely to her wonderful life. Hi everyone. So that was the Bloch solo suite, first solo suite for cello. There are 3 of those, so feel free to go listen to the second and third after this. They're really just as beautiful, if not more. So.
Thank you, Christine. That was a wonderful performance. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
And we do have a little bit of time for questions. So if anyone in the audience has questions, feel free to type in the chat box. And I was just going to start with one question. How did you select today's program?
I guess I shouldn't say convenience, but no, well, I've been working on the D major suite pretty consistently over the past year for different things, and so it's kind of one of the suites that I feel closest to right now. The Bloch I've played a few different times over my life, and I just find the parallels of the movements between the 6th suite and this suite are you can hear some of the similarities and the influence that Bloch took from Bach. And the Acosta, I'm continually trying to play it more, so I thought it would be a good just mental breather between the pieces, and it's just a lot of fun.
Great, yeah, they all seem to flow together nicely, so good choices.
Thank you.
And we have a question from Paul, and his question is, he says, you mentioned the Bloch suite was inspired by Bach's suite. In what ways do you think Bach has influenced the development of cello repertoire?
Oh my gosh, that's a huge question that probably could have another hour-long session. But there's so many great cello works that have been written, modeled off of the Bach suites. Also cello and piano things. The Brahms E minor sonata, the last movement, is a one big fugue. Well, fugato technically, but we won't get into that. So it very much and I think a quote or very similar to something from Art of the Fugue that Bach wrote. So all sorts of ways, I think, but specifically the solo cello repertoire, I think people look to that and study those suites before really fully delving in. And then Bach also wrote 3 Gamba Sonatas. So the gamba is kind of a different version of the cello. They're gambas with different amounts of strings, but basically serving the cello's purpose today. But he wrote gamba and harpsichord sonatas, which cellists play, and that's also a huge amount of fun to play. Hindemith, Britten wrote 3 great cello suites. So many people, and I think the reason that the Bach suites are so fundamental is the combination of just really using the instrument well. He was kind of influenced by the musicians around him, and then he also played, I don't think he played cello, but I think he played violin, so he had a knowledge of how string players move and work. And then also just the way he could convey polyphonic music with multiple voices through one instrument, how he was able to, sometimes I'm not even playing like the whole chord all the time, but there's a bass note from 2 seconds before that you heard that kind of sticks in your ear, and so you hear it tacitly, I guess, in the next chord. And the way he does that, the way he anticipates that the audience will hear that kind of thing, and the cellist will hear that sort of thing, is quite amazing. It takes a huge amount of skill. So I think a lot of composers look to those as kind of like the holy grail of how to write for the cello.
Yeah, that's a great answer to a good question. So a couple more questions. I know live music has really been hurt during the time of coronavirus, and I'm really just wondering, have you had a lot of chances to perform doing virtual programs?
Yeah, I think everyone's coping in different ways. I have slowly, things have started to kind of come in. I have another virtual recital for Swarthmore College later this week or next week, something like that. And then I'm also a member of the Sphinx Virtuosi, which is a chamber orchestra. So we're doing, we've been recording the past month a whole slew of music for the public to enjoy. So a lot of it has been some live streaming, but a lot of recording at home. So we've all had to learn how to become engineers in a way, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So a lot of, I didn't quite appreciate them as much as I do now. Yeah, and then a lot of online teaching, which has been really fun. And yeah, I will be coaching some chamber music soon. I don't know how that's going to work quite yet, but we'll see. It'll be fun.
That sounds like, if nothing else, you're keeping busy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my final question is, I'm just wondering how you got started and how long you've been playing, just a little bit of your background.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and Texas has a great public music public school music system, a Texas Music Educators Association. It's quite good. Their support for the arts. So there was a free beginners class in my elementary school. I was in the 5th grade, and the instructor offered the students it was very introductory, so nobody came with instruments. He just came kind of introducing what the instruments were, what he was there for, and he showed us pictures of a violin, viola, cello, bass. And I just thought the bass was so cool, and I had seen jazz musicians on TV, and the bass player looked so cool with like dark sunglasses and like a smoky club somewhere, and I was so excited. And then I went home bright-eyed to my parents, and telling them I wanted to play the bass, and they said, well, how big is it? And then I showed them a picture, and they were like, I don't think our car is quite that big. And then they're like, is there a smaller one? And I was like, yeah, there was another one that was a little smaller. So I happened to fall upon the cello, or the cello chose me because of a very practical reason. I tell that story sometimes when I visit schools with like elementary kids and stuff, and it's usually like it's like my go-to story, my joke, you know. I mean, it really happened, but it's a funny story. But the kids just look at me like, yeah, that's very reasonable. It's very they don't think it's that funny. But yeah, so I continued. I was enrolled in my middle school orchestra, and they had a music library, and I would stay after school and sight read through Suzuki books. And anyone who has been a student that learned an instrument through the Suzuki method, or as a pedagogue practitioner, that is like absolute sacrilege, apparently. Like, you can't just sight read through them. You have to go through a very methodical process. But I didn't know anything, and my parents aren't musicians, and they just, I was lucky they were very supportive of it, so they just let me run wild with it. And then eventually I joined a youth orchestra, and through the youth orchestra I got a teacher, and then it kind of snowballed from there. And then I ended up going to Juilliard for my undergrad studies, and then New England Conservatory for my master's. And then that year that I graduated, I won Sphinx. So that's kind of how I've been connected to you guys.
Great. That's a great story, and I'm glad the cello choice seemed to have worked out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to perform for us today. I want to encourage everyone to check out the National Arts Club and Sphinx organization websites to see what else is coming up soon. We'll be sharing a recording of the program on our YouTube page. But other than that, thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much.